¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark Ted 25 otra vez. Welcome to another episode of El Chuco Sportscast. I'm Mark, and this is mi hermano Mario. ¿Qué pasó, dude?
Nada más, bro. ¿Usted?
Estoy bien, dude. Estoy bien. So yeah, man, we're we're right around the bend here, man. The NBA season is starting tomorrow, and I'm extremely excited. They've already
Yeah,
done a
man.
few preseason games, and I gotta tell you, this Mavs team is starting to put things together a little bit as far as like what's going on. And granted, yeah, I get it. It's preseason. You really can't expect much from preseason, but either
Well,
way,
at
it
least
is
they had
pretty
a.
damn nice. Yeah.
I'm just saying, at least they had a preseason to where they at least they can prepare enough for the regular season, unlike the NFL, which they had no preseason. So that's why a lot of teams are hurting right now because a lot of teams didn't prepare. So injuries followed after that. So that's why, unfortunately, our Cowboys are in the state that they're in. I mean, not only coaching, but just not taking care of yourself and preparing like the preseason allows you to. Anyway, but no, I'm just glad that they were able to have one, and hopefully for the NBA, teams should be faring a little bit better when it comes to the regular season, and hopefully injuries are at a minimum. So
Yeah, we can only hope so much on that. But in all honesty, I made an attempt at this recording during Thanksgiving, but it didn't end up kind of the way I had wanted it. So this is kind of like a second take of this, and this will be the one we put within YouTube. And also remember, guys, I'm also on Spotify now, and I just want to kind of get my brand out there. So please follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, all of that stuff, man, just so we can get this stuff going. But yeah, I kind of want to start off with, the overall trades. I know the preseasons have come about and people already know where everyone has gone, but I kind of want to go over some of these trades and kind of what I thought, like the trades and some of the free agency moves, just to give myself an idea and, just to kind of talk about it a little bit. So let's kind of get started with the trades here. So the biggest trade we saw was, well, at least one of them was Chris Paul to the Suns. The Suns would get Abdel Nader and Chris Paul, while as the Thunder would get Tyrone Jerome, Jalen LeCue, Kelly Oubre, and Ricky Rubio. So that's already an interesting trade within itself. Now you pair Chris Paul with DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker. I mean, Booker and Chris Paul are really good shooters, so you add another shooting person. And of course, you have a guy who's a legitimate point guard who can really guide the offense and help everyone get to their spots. It's going to be a very interesting team this year. They're definitely going to be interesting to see when they hit the playoffs. I really think this does push the needle for the Suns to get into the playoffs because they had been struggling to get in for a while now. I mean, even during the bubble, they went on an 8-0 tear and couldn't get in, but partly was because they didn't take care of business at the beginning. But then again, I shouldn't say that because DeAndre Ayton was actually out due to being suspended, I guess, for having substances he wasn't supposed to have. But yeah, either way, this year I think it's going to be a very interesting season for the Suns. Alrighty. So
it'd be nice to see.
yeah, it would be badass, man, especially for Chris Paul. I mean, he
I
helped that
mean,
he helped that Thunder team get into the playoffs last year. Nobody thought they ever would. So this really gives some credibility to Chris Paul's talent. I mean, it's not like he was never talented, but you know what I mean?
no, I mean, I don't know who will be saying that because I grew up watching Chris Paul when he came into the league. He's always been good. It's just now, he's getting a little older, so I'm sure it gets a little tougher, like for any player. But he's still very damn good. So,
Yeah, it's just
I don't.
because he's aging, people don't really think that highly. But yeah, last year he proved he can still lead a team and play well. So I'm excited to see what happens with that Suns squad.
Because isn't he one of the highest paying guards in the league?
Yeah, they
Also,
really paid him really high when they when they gave him that contract. Daryl
yeah.
Morey,
So
I
I
don't know
mean,
why the fuck
I
he gave
mean,
him that big of a contract, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, he to a point, yeah, he is worth it, but maybe they did overpay him a little bit, but he's still, I believe he's still worth his money.
Oh no, yeah.
So we'll see what happens with the Suns because, I like the Suns to a point because, They've always been a favorite of ours, but it'll be nice to see because we haven't seen the Suns this we haven't seen the Suns in a good spot since when? Since Nash, retired, no? Or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, when Nash left the Suns after a bit.
It's like
Yeah.
when Nash and Marion were there. That's the last time I remember them. They were like,
Yeah, and Stoudemire, yeah, all
oh,
those.
and Kid too. Kid was there for a minute, wasn't he?
Well, but that was okay, but here's the thing. That squad was when here's the thing. Nash and Kidd were on the Suns together at one point, but that was way before the Stoudemire and Nash era. Because remember, that was
Oh,
before
okay,
Nash got traded to Dallas, and then Nash left Dallas to go back to
back to
Phoenix, and
Phoenix.
that's the
Okay,
squad. Yeah.
my bad. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the Suns at a high level. So hopefully Paul brings that level to Phoenix, and we'll have
Oh yeah, I think he will, dude. I think
like you
he did
said,
a
it'll
really
be
good job
interesting.
with the young players from the Thunder. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not a he's not a player to play with, man. He's coming up. And then okay, so then we have the Pistons trade Tony Snell to the Hawks for Dwayne Dedman. So that's an interesting pickup. I mean, I guess it doesn't really make the Pistons all that much better, but the Hawks get, I guess, some shooting. I don't know. I guess that one isn't this big.
Well,
Okay.
the Pistons got to take what they can get because that team has had its fair share of struggles in the past few years. So let's see.
Yeah, and then the Warriors acquire Kelly Oubre from the Thunder, which is a really good pickup for the Warriors. I mean, it sucks to hear what happened to Clay Thompson, man.
What
That
happened
whole
to Clay Thompson? I haven't heard. Forgive me.
Yeah, I think he was doing a workout and I think he messed up his MCL or something,
Oh
man.
my God. Wow, man. See, even regardless of who you are, you got to be careful on how you work out. Warm ups are important. And just the way you approach a workout, you got to be careful because one, if you approach it wrong, that's what will mess you up,
Yeah.
long term if you're
I
not
mean, I don't know
careful.
what happened. I mean, these guys have like
Yeah.
world-class trainers, so I don't know. Something
Well,
might have
even then,
overextended or something. I don't know.
maybe you get, maybe he got too complacent in a workout. I mean, it happens to all of us. We get complacent in the way we do something, and that's what can lead to injury. So I pray that he recovers, but man, that's a blow. That's a blow to the Warriors. I mean, because was it the previous season? That's what they struggled with was nothing but injuries. That's what
Well,
knocked them out of contention.
it's because yeah, KD like was injured with his Achilles. Then he left in free agency, and then Clay was also injured in that finals, so they had to wait a full year for him. And then Curry out of nowhere like messes up his hand, sits out pretty much the majority of the season. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Well, I just hope that it stops there at him and nothing else. But we shall see. Give my prayers to Clay that he recovers, soon.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. Because the Warriors, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, Kelly Oubre is a good, like he's a decent shooter, but I don't think he's going to provide the same type of offense that Clay provides as far as a shooting standpoint. I mean, maybe defensively he's okay, but again, it's something we'd have to see. And then Andrew Wiggins, I already made a video about this, like the Warriors, like when they obtained Andrew Wiggins, like this is pretty much his last chance to really prove that he can be at least a decent piece, like something like substantial on a contending team. Otherwise, I just don't think he's really cut out to be anything spectacular for the NBA, which is sad because they had a lot going for him when he was picked. He was drafted by the Timberwolves.
I remember. Well, I pray for him because it sucks for any player that we've come to watch just turn into a bust. It sucks because you have high hopes for them because they killed it in college, and then just for some reason the pros, it's just maybe I don't know. And
The
but
pressure, the
hopefully it
fit,
works.
all things. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope it works out for him.
Okay, so the next, the Pistons acquire Jeremy Grant in a sign and trade with the Nuggets. That's a pretty decent pickup, and it's kind of a blow to the Nuggets because Jeremy Grant was a very good defensive presence. Um, Rusty Buckets likes to harp on this guy. Like he really likes him. He talks a lot of like good things about it and
Oh
almost to a
yeah.
point where it seems obsessive.
Well, when
But
you saw the well, we saw the playoffs and how well Denver played. It's yeah, that's definitely going to hurt them for sure.
yeah,
So
Jeremy Grant was also like, yeah, he was a decent scorer, not like spectacular, but decent. And yeah, he that's a really good piece, and it kind of sucks to lose him, but I don't know. He's going to the Pistons, so maybe he gets a better, opportunity there. And then the Jazz trade Ed Davis to the Knicks. I mean, I guess you're getting another big man to go to the Knicks. I don't understand that shit, but okay.
the
I mean,
Nick, man,
it's the
the
freaking
Knicks,
Knicks.
that front office is so dysfunctional. I just don't understand what is going through their heads, let alone the owners' heads, because man, the Knicks haven't been any good in all honesty since the 90s, man.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean,
just
they had a decent like stint with Carmelo, but I think that was just like one season.
it was
Uh,
very short, man. I can't even remember like I said, I just remember growing up in the 90s, the Knicks were just good. Now it's like they haven't been able to find any consistency. It's like it's up and down, like extremes to me.
yeah, I
And,
mean, they've been like contenders, but never really won it. So,
but it's also hard to get players to stay there too, because you got to also remember, the cost of living is ridiculous over there,
hmm I mean,
and
but at this point, that shouldn't be an excuse because I mean, if people
well,
can get stars to go to freaking Brooklyn,
yeah, but because well, they probably look, man, the cost of living, state income tax, it's just very hard to stay there. Like a lot of players I've heard they had to overpay their players in order to get them to stay because it's just sometimes not feasible to them to stay there because the living's so high. But I'm sure there's other factors, but I just hope that either one, the owner needs to just fire everybody and just rebuild the front
ah,
office,
well, no, James Dolan
or
is an idiot though.
but yeah, it's still yeah, you're right. They just need a new ownership completely. So God bless, just God bless that team because they need. Man, it's just been too long for them to be at this sad state. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, RJ Barrett's decent, and Obi Toppin, the kid they drafted from Dayton, he seems to be pretty good. So I don't know, maybe things change around for them a little bit. I don't know though, because they have to move some pieces. Like I don't know if he's gonna fit with Julius Randle. It's a strange situation all around, and maybe the Knicks figure it out, maybe they don't. I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised if they fuck up again this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. So the 76ers add Tony Bradley in a deal with the Pistons, and the Pistons get Zaire Smith. I mean, I guess you add another body that kind of like helps anchor the defense, but that's probably like a backup option to Embiid or something. Then the Pistons get Zaire Smith. I don't think he played all that much this past year, and like very sparingly. I mean, hopefully he gets a chance with the Pistons. I mean, the Pistons are getting all these interesting pieces, but who knows if they're all going to fit well. So then next, the Lakers deal JaVale McGee to the Cavaliers. Wow, that's
That's a shocker, to be honest with
well. I
you.
mean, I don't think it is. I mean, JaVale McGee
Well,
was okay, but I mean, if you
I
got
mean,
Dwight Howard versus JaVale McGee, who the fuck you're taking? But what's funny is he ends up fucking leaving anyway. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I just thought he's been very key in a lot of teams. So for the Lakers to let him go, I was like, wow.
I don't know. I mean, he has his rings. There's not much more you can ask at that point. Then the Lakers got Alfonso McKinney and Jordan Bell. Okay. I mean, that's an interesting set of players to get in that. I mean, Jordan Bell is another former, ¿cómo se llama? He's another former Warriors player. So I don't know. Maybe LeBron is trying to get as much of his old enemies as possible, so he doesn't have to play against them. Nah, I'm kidding on that one. That LeBron's on a whole other level. So then, okay, and then I guess Ed Davis gets traded to the Wolves. That's an interesting turn of events in that one. And the
Someone
Knicks
from the
get
Knicks to the
Jacob
Wolves.
Evans and
Dang.
Amari Spellman. Okay, and then a pick. So then the next one, oh, this is an interesting one. This is part of that team deal that got reworked because of the whole situation with Bogdan Bogdanovic. Oh gosh. Oh no, I think it's Bojan. My bad. But even then, dude, holy shit, that whole situation. Apparently, the I think the Bucks are kind of in trouble. They lost a draft pick because of the way that situation was handled. It was like a not necessarily a tampering situation, but kind of some shady shit was going on, so they lost a draft pick over it. That's kind of crazy, man.
Oof.
But
That
anyhow, as far as what they did instead of that whole deal, I mean, it would have been a really good player to pick up, but sadly that didn't happen. So the Pelicans get Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe. So Steven Adams from the Thunder and Eric Bledsoe from the Bucks, which I guess is a pretty decent return. But I don't know what you're gonna do with Lonzo Ball and Zion Williams at that point. I mean, Zion Williams is, I mean, of course they're gonna keep Zion. I mean, that that was a dumb thing to say, but they're gonna keep Zion and Steven Adams either as the center or coming off the bench. I don't know what they're gonna do, but that's gonna be an interesting deal. Then Eric Bledsoe, I mean, are they gonna continue to like, are they going to use Eric Bledsoe and just have Lonzo Ball on the bench, or are they going to trust in Lonzo Ball to, get to a decent spot where he's going to end up kind of in the same boat as Wiggins, all this talk and hype for absolutely nothing, really.
well, we never know until he gets on the court and proves himself. And I would hope that the coach puts him in the rotation to get his reps in. That's the only way you're going to be able to see if he is, all that he says he is by getting him on the court and showing what he's got. So we'll see.
Yeah. Apparently, speaking of which, well, I guess we'll get to that in a minute. Let's kind of continue these, and then I'll kind of talk about LaMelo, Lonzo's brother, and even LiAngelo Ball, his other brother. They all were in the NBA for a little bit.
Oh,
Well,
they're not in the
I
NBA
mean,
anymore.
no, no, no. Lonzo's still there, and LaMelo just got drafted by the
That's
sorry, the
right. That's what
Charlotte
I
Hornets.
remember hearing.
But then LiAngelo, their other brother, was picked up by the Pistons. But then he was waived not even that long after, so
Oh,
that kind of sucks.
well, hopefully, if he goes around the other teams and seeing what he can get, maybe he'll come back in. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, so next so the Bucks in that trade, they get Drew Holiday and Sam Merrill, who was the 60 overall pick in the draft this year. But yeah, Drew Holiday is a really good pickup. Decent defensive guard, shoots okay, very good playmaker. So you get another decent star to pair with Giannis and Chris Middleton. I mean, Chris Middleton isn't really a star, but he's a decent piece and a decent player. So that's just another piece to add. Then the Nuggets get RJ Hampton in the wow, that's a good pickup by the Nuggets. That's a really good get in that trade. And then the Thunder, they get George Hill, Zylan Cheatham, Josh Gray, Darius Miller, and Kenrich Williams. So I mean, they get a shit ton of picks. That's another theme. I'm sorry, that's a theme you're going to be seeing a lot of the Thunder just cashing in on a lot of these damn picks, man. Holy shit. They're going to be pick city by the time everything is said and done.
I hope it. I'm just praying that it builds into something like what we saw in the late 2000s, early 20 teens. So praying for that because it'd be nice to see.
Yeah, and then the Rockets receive Wood in a deal with the Pistons. Christian Wood, who's a really good player. He's another player that Rusty Buckets likes to fanboy on.
Yeah, it was just like the fifth time I see Ariza on another team. I mean, I'm just surprised that even after free agency and after the draft, there's still a lot of hopping around. So,
Yeah, but yeah, the Rockets get some picks in that, and then Pistons get cash considerations. So yeah, it's the Pistons are in a weird situation overall. So the Hawks land Danilo Gallinari in a signing trade with the Thunder. He got a shit ton in that goddamn contract. I mean, he's not to say Gallinari is not a decent player, but that seems a bit of an overpay. Um, and then let's see. Yeah, and like I said, the Thunder get a freaking 25 2025 pick. Then Pacers acquire LeCue from the Thunder, and then the Thunder get TJ Leaf and a first round pick. Sorry, future second round pick. Cavs acquire Rajon Tucker from the Jazz. Jazz get cash considerations. Pistons acquire Delon Wright from the Mavs in a three-team deal. So the
Oh,
Pistons get Delon Wright, the Thunder get Trevor Ariza and Justin Jackson, and the Mavericks get good old James Johnson.
James
I'm
Johnson. Hello.
Yeah, he was with
Wow.
the Heat for a bit and the
Oh, he was on
what
the
is it?
championship team.
Well, no, no, no,
And
no, no, no,
so,
no, 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 different guy. You're thinking of I forgot what Johnson that is, but yeah, no, no. There's a
you sure?
no, yeah, you're thinking of James Jones.
Oh, yes, James Jones. I'm
James
sorry. Yeah.
Johnson, he was a guy on the Heat that was another like really rough and tough player, and he got bounced to the what is it? The Minnesota Timberwolves. And he's a really good enforcer player. Not the best offensively, but he does what he can as far as rebounding and defending. So in essence, he's a Dennis Rodman of sorts, but not as bad as far as attitude in general. So I think
Well, I mean,
that's a really good pickup from the Mavericks.
well, there's one thing I feel the Mavs could improve on was getting the boards, and if he can do that, then there would be good chances, good opportunities of second chance points that they would need.
Hmm.
So hopefully,
Yeah. So then the next, and this is one of the biggest ones, Hornets get Gordon Hayward in a sign and trade deal, and they paid him a shit ton of money for that as
wow,
well.
that's
I mean,
not what I expected.
yeah, Gordon Hayward, I mean, the
I
Celtics they were just wanting to get rid of him at this point because they already had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
well, let's see what old MJ can do with him. So
Well, I mean, he's got LaMelo Ball in the draft and Gordon Hayward, and I've already seen some clips from like the preseason of LaMelo making some pretty badass passes. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, at this point, they might have a chance to make the playoffs, possibly. I mean, it's not all set in stone because you still have like the Magic and the what is it? The Wizards are starting to come up now, especially because again, this next freaking deal is a pretty damn big one. The Rockets deal Russell Westbrook. Sorry, I can't speak. Russell Westbrook to the Wizards for John Wall. So that's a pretty interesting like trade right there because John Wall has not played in a long while. However, I saw him in preseason. He seemed to be doing decently well. So hopefully John Wall makes a healthy comeback
I've
because
heard
when
it.
John Wall was there, he was a fucking dynamo, dude. Him
Well,
and Bradley Beal were killing it.
those that duo in Washington did really well, and they got close many times in the playoffs, almost getting to the. I think I remember they almost got to the Eastern Conference Championship, but just couldn't get past the
And
semifinals. But yeah, I'm just glad to see Wall back in the saddle, and I hope that he will be a good partner with Harden because it was just never
well,
going to
but
work out.
see, that's something we're gonna have to talk about later because Harden might not even stay, dude.
Oh,
Because there was a report that Harden was like not even phased when they brought John Wall in. So I think it's really getting close to him being traded. And we might talk a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
about that in a moment, but yeah, so
But well, I just also with Westbrook, man, we'll see. Let's see how he fares with the Wizards. I just want him to, bro. Don't be a ball hog. Don't try to put everything on your shoulders. Learn how to be a team player. It's just I just feel like wherever he goes, he still doesn't seem to quite get that. I don't know, but
at this point, the Wizards are just getting him to get into the playoffs, get something because they've been out of it for a while and they need kind of a last ditch deal to see if they can make some sort of push. So we'll see
mhm.
what happens with them. Alrighty, so the next one is the Thunder get Al Horford from the 76ers. So this is an interesting one because now I mean, Al Horford's still a decent player. It's just he wasn't fitting well on the Sixers because you had Embiid and it was pretty much just clogging the paint. and really not being utilized in the way he needs to be. So hopefully this fresh start with the Thunder helps him get going. And let's see. The Sixers get Terrence Ferguson, Danny Green, and Vince Poirier. So
Mm.
Terrence Ferguson's not a bad get. Danny Green, although he struggled mightily in the playoffs and in the finals, hopefully he gets back on track. It's still a decent like player to get, especially when it comes to shooting. So who knows? Maybe he finds him like his way back when he plays for the Thunder and all that. But yes, so that was as of December 8th. I could have sworn there were some other ones. Well, anyhow, let's kind of continue on. Whoops, wrong one. The free agency tracker. Okay. So the biggest name was Anthony Davis. So he signed a 5-year, $189 million deal. So 100,
Oh my God.
yeah,
$189 million for 5 years.
yep.
I think that's the most I've ever seen a NBA player ever. I mean,
Yeah, that's probably right. But as far as like overall, dude, it's a pretty hefty contract. I mean, because look at like remember I was telling you about Gordon Hayward that sign? Yeah,
mhm.
120 million for him. Like that's crazy. That is a lot of money to be paying that guy. But I mean,
For four
Jordan
years.
needed, I mean, it's a risk that Jordan has to take, I guess, because obviously you need a freaking
Well,
star to play there.
they're going for the long term in these players, man. And so they got to make sure that they stay healthy and perform,
Yeah, I just
perform.
hope Gordon Hayward doesn't turn into fucking Chandler Parsons, who just finesses every fucking team he goes to. That fucking thief.
Oh yeah. That was
That,
disappointing what he did, man.
yeah,
Very
that pissed me
disappointing.
off because it's like of all the times we could have used him and he kept getting fucking injured. And now he's just like always seeming to be injured for some reason and getting hefty fucking contracts. Whoever his goddamn agent is, like, goddamn, he,
Yeah.
I could use an agent like that. Give me some fucking good money.
Yeah. I'll check this. So I didn't know this. Random Ingram is now with New Orleans.
Yeah, dude, he was part of that trade to get Anthony Davis. Like the
Okay.
summer before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise they don't get
For some
Anthony
reason,
Davis.
I'm sorry. For some reason, I still thought he was with LA. So, but still, Jesus,
Ingram, yeah.
158 million dollars for 5 years. That's a lot, man.
Yeah,
Whew.
that is a pretty hefty contract. And then Fred VanVleet is another big one. Fred VanVleet was a really good player, like throughout that run with the Raptors in 2019, and he's still playing at a really decent level. Is it a bit like high for him? Probably, but who knows who the Raptors are even going to get at this point? Because like, yeah, they really didn't get much of anybody this free agency other than Fred VanVleet. So, I mean, yeah, I guess you got to pay somebody. Either you pay somebody or you get nobody, you know? And again,
Yeah, you
that's not
gotta
to.
pay. No, I mean, yeah, you gotta pay a little extra to get the best out of your money. So,
Well, and
this is
then
not that. This is
it's
not
it's
that.
not it's not the best out of your money per se. It's you have to pay a little bit more to at least keep somebody because sometimes nobody's going to come your way.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean by that. Because at this point, like we've harped on, each team is playing to get to the finals and win the title, win the championship. You can't be cheap when it comes to finding the pieces that will best suit your team to win. So,
Mhm. Yeah, no, and it's a good pickup nonetheless. Like either way, Fred VanVleet returning to the Raptors, I think is a good fit. I can't really think of where else he would go. So the next person is Davis Bertans for the Washington Wizards. He got paid 80 million for 5 years, which is a good one. He was like he's a really good shooter. So the Wizards have a decent squad with Bertans, Westbrook, and Beal. So I'm kind of excited to see how that's going to turn out. And then Joe Harris re-signs with Brooklyn for $75 million for 4 years. That's awesome. I think that's good that the Brooklyn Nets maintained him because you need a good shooter like Joe Harris. He actually won the 3-point contest against Steph Curry 1 year, so it's a really good player to have. And then Bogdanovich. He went to Atlanta instead of that whole trade to send him to Milwaukee. He ends up going to Atlanta for $72 million for 4 years.
Mm.
And that's another good player to pair alongside Trey Young and John Collins. I don't know if they're going to maintain him or not, but if they do, that's at least still a decent squad overall, and that's a playoff bound team this year. I think we're going to see Trey Young in the playoffs, which is going to be kind of exciting. And then Marcus Morris Sr., he signs with the Clippers, which I think again is a pretty big overpay on the Clippers part. But again, they had already lost Montrezl Harrell, and we're gonna see that pretty soon. So then, like I said, Danilo Gallinari was in a sign and trade, and he signs with Atlanta as well. So another decent shooter for the Hawks. They're going to be a run and gun team, pretty much like the Warriors. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath because I don't think anybody could really match the Warriors' level of shooting when they're 100% healthy. And then again, Jeremy Grant, like a lot of these ones that you saw in the trades were also again they signed and trade. So Jeremy Grant is going to Detroit for 3 years for 60 million. Malik Beasley gets a contract with Minnesota again for 4 years, $60 million. Jordan Clarkson stays with the Utah Jazz and gets a 4-year, $51 million contract. Christian Wood goes to Houston, gets a $41 million contract for 3 years. Contavious Caldwell-Pope gets a decent bag to stay in LA. DeAnthony Melton stays with Memphis. That's a really good pick. He's a decent piece, good defensive piece. Jay Crowder, he leaves Miami to go to Phoenix. I mean, I don't know if this really improves the Suns or not in that regard, but he's an okay defensive player, although he really wasn't doing too well in the finals. And he also shooting, he's usually a decent shooter, but that escaped him in the finals. But ni modo, dude. Jay Crowder is in Phoenix, and that's going to be a decent team overall.
Mm.
Again, I don't know how much he's going to truly contribute, but it's going to be at least enough. Derek Favors returns to Utah, which I think is a good move by Utah to get him back because he was another decent defensive piece that, kept them in at least, I think it was the fourth or fifth seed. I think they were the seventh seed no, no, sorry, the sixth seed this past year. So this kind of hopefully puts him back in that spot. Darius Saric maintains in Phoenix and he has a 3-year, $27 million contract. Jakob Poeltl stays in San Antonio for 3 years, which is, I mean, the Spurs are kind of in no man's land at this point, so they're going to take anybody they can get. And then Mason Plumlee leaves Denver and goes to Detroit. So yeah, Detroit's getting very interesting pieces here. I don't know how much they're going to be able to contribute to winning, but who knows? Maybe they end up being one of the worst teams this year. Juan Hernan Gomez, he stays with the Minnesota Timberwolves for 3 years. DJ Augustine signs with Milwaukee. That's a decent backup piece behind Drew Holiday for 3 years, 21 million. Rodney Hood he stays in Portland because yeah, he was with Jazz the previous year before that. So yeah, he stays in Portland for 2 years. Tristan Thompson gets a bag from the Celtics. He leaves Cleveland and goes to Boston.
Mm.
Serge Ibaka leaves Toronto and goes to LA to team up with Kawhi Leonard again. So I think that's a decent piece. A lot of people are saying that that's better than having Montrezl Harrell. I don't know. That just seems like sour grapes to me. I think having Montrezl Harrell was a decent piece. Whether Serge Ibaka provides better defense, I mean, it's all well and good, but offensively, Montrezl Harrell was pretty decent. I mean, and again, not to say that Serge Ibaka can't hold his own. He's actually been a little bit better in three-point shooting. But yeah, it's a great piece for the Clippers, but I feel like a lot has not been going well for them in this offseason. Well, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong because it would be kind of nice to see the Clippers redeem themselves. I know everyone's clowning on them ever since they lost the 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets, but I don't know. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be okay. They really gave Paul George a huge contract extension, and that might be brought up in a minute. So yeah, Derrick Jones Jr. He goes to Portland, so he leaves Miami, goes to Portland. So Miami kind of lose a couple of pieces. Don't know if it really affects them all that much because they still maintain their major core with having what's his name? Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. So you have those guys still there, so everything's good. And we'll see what happens if they end up like because James Harden is also on the radar for the Heat. He might send they might send Tyler Hero and a couple of other pieces just to get James Harden, might possibly even more than that. If like I mean that's just one team destination, but who knows? He probably might not go there. So we have Montrezl Harrell, who again, as I stated, left the Clippers to go to the Lakers. I mean, it's crazy, man. The Lakers just keep getting stronger. Oh yeah, and that's right. Dennis Schroeder gets picked up by the Lakers. So that's another like that's a really decent point guard there. So again, the Lakers just got really strong all of a sudden. So next, Justin Holiday, that's Drew's brother, stays in Indiana for 3 years, 18 million. Goran Dragic, I guess he's doing a 1 year deal. So $18 million. dollars. I think maybe they're just doing that just so they can keep under cap space. Just so on the off chance. Well, actually, wait, I shouldn't say that because now Giannis has actually signed an extension to stay in Milwaukee. So it's going to be crazy. So Giannis is staying. I mean, that
Okay.
doesn't mean he probably can't get traded later on down the line, but he is staying for a good amount of time. And that's
Okay.
that's kind of nice for small market teams. I mean, that's not going to say that I don't know, because there's some YouTubers making videos about that. It's like, okay, that's not like any other small market team is going to maintain their star. That's hardly going to happen. Giannis just really likes Milwaukee, and I don't know, they must have promised him something really big for him to sign that extension. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? But yeah, it's a good pickup by Milwaukee. I mean to maintain Giannis. So and then Pat Connaughton maintains in he yeah remains in Milwaukee for 3 years, 15 million. Rajon Rondo gets a contract in Atlanta, so again another decent like ball distributor to go to Atlanta. So I think again Atlanta really I think they won free agency this year in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that just seems like a really good pick of players. And then JaMychal Green. He goes to Denver, leaving the Clippers. Aaron Baines leaves Phoenix and goes to Toronto. He's a decent center, really good on the ball, and he actually can shoot decently well. So that's a good player for any team to really have. Kind of like Robin Lopez type of player, but I think Aaron Baines might be just slightly more agile. I don't know. That's just what I think. I mean, I'm not saying he's better than, Brooke Lopez, but he he's a decent player overall. Chris Boucher stays in Toronto. Javon Carter stays in Phoenix. Paul Millsap stays in Denver, which is good to maintain. I mean, Paul Millsap I don't think he's going to get any major year contracts considering his age now, but who knows? I think Denver made a good choice by keeping Millsap. Chris Dunn is going to Atlanta from Chicago, so Atlanta picks up a decent defensive guard. So again, the Hawks have another win there. Then Austin Rivers is going to New York for 3 years, which is decent. Like the Knicks could use an actual like point guard that's established. Whether he becomes like the starter or if he stays on the bench and someone else is the starter, who knows? But I think either way, that's for once a decent pickup by the Knicks. Josh Jackson goes to Detroit, so well, it's weird. A lot of these people are just jumping to Detroit all of a sudden. This is one of my favorite signings. Trey Burke is signing with Dallas for 3 years, like nine, like Yeah, $9 million contract. That's pretty good. I'm very happy they maintained Trey Burke because he really played really well in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
I mean, they would be fools if they had gotten rid of him because after seeing him in the playoffs, it's like, nah, he's a keeper. I mean, I am sad that they got rid of Barea because he was a great support guard. But hey, Burke is younger. He's going to provide a lot of great stuff. So I'm glad they kept him.
Yeah, and it sucks that they didn't keep JJ Barea. But the thing is, overall, he was kind of old. There's really not much more he can personally give. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just think it was his time. But at least they gave him a $2 million contract guaranteed to, kind of thank him for his time. So it's
Yeah,
nice.
I give Mark Cuban respect for that because I mean he did help win the first championship. It's the least he can do for him. So
Yeah.
mm,
And then Myers Leonard, he stays in Miami. I don't know who John Conchar is, but he's staying in Memphis for 4 years. Willie Cauley-Stein, I don't know. At first, I thought they were going to let him walk or something because he made this promise, oh, I'm going to sign. And then he doesn't sign and tries to rework his contract. I don't know. Part of me is like, I mean, why keep Willie Cauley-Stein if you already have, Dwight Powell? But I don't know. Maybe they're going to find a way to make those two work in rotation.
I hope
So he
so.
signs there for 2 million. I mean, sorry, 2 years, 8.2 million. And then Bobby Portis, he leaves New York and goes to Milwaukee, and I think that's a decent pickup by Milwaukee as well. He's a decent role piece. He did okay in New York. I mean, he can only do what he could do. And then Robin Lopez, see, this is a decent loss to me, but a really big pickup by the Washington Wizards. Robin Lopez is a good center. So I think the Wizards are actually going to be pretty decent this year. I mean, like I already have them making the playoffs, but I think it's going to be like they're going to be pretty decent. I mean, maybe not fifth seed, but at least, competitive for that sixth and seventh spot. Okay, so then Michael Carter Williams resigns with Orlando. Man, that poor guy. He was rookie of the year, and then he just went down from there. I mean, at least he's still in the league, so I guess he's doing okay. But overall, he could have been so much more. But he signs a 2-year deal with Orlando. I don't know who Heinrich Williams is. Alec Burks goes to New York, so they get a shooting guard. Um, Avery Bradley signs with Miami, so that's a decent pickup by the Heat. As far as other like ones I do know, because I don't know some of these other players. I mean, I've heard vaguely of Chimezie Metu, vaguely. I don't really follow the Kings all that often, sorry. Um, Drew Banks stays in San Antonio. I don't give a shit about San Antonio. Sorry, San Antonio fans. Um, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a Mavs fan. I'm not a fan of Houston, not a fan of
I know.
San
Same
Antonio,
here.
not a fan of any of those.
Same here. But I'm just also I'm still not happy with what San Antonio did with Kawhi. So that's also that too. It's like, wow.
Yeah, a lot of San Antonio people are gonna disagree with that. They're gonna say, "I know Kawhi is just being a bitch." But he's at this point they can't really say shit because he fucking won a championship with Toronto, so fuck him. Anyhow, so
It's their loss, man.
yeah, yeah, San Antonio really like they had the nerve to discredit him. Whatever.
They burned a bridge that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, Tony Parker should not have opened his fucking mouth. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so Marc Gasol. He's leaving Toronto to go to LA. So again, the Lakers get stronger. So
That's
yeah,
good.
it's gonna be fucking crazy this next year. Nerlens Noel goes to New York, so I guess he finally gets his chance. I don't
That's
know
good.
if he's gonna be off the bench or if it's gonna be a starting role, but who knows?
Oh, I thought for his little stint in Dallas, he did all right.
He did all
So
right, but the fact that he turned down that contract and he didn't end up panning out was actually kind of a blessing in disguise. You know, they were gonna offer him like 70 million or something, and I was like, nah, fuck that. He's not worth that much. So then Bryn Forbes goes to Milwaukee. Alfred Payton stays in New York, so either he's the starter or it's going to be Austin Rivers. It's one of them. Either that or they move Alfred Payton for something, which I don't know. They haven't been doing much in the free agency or even in trades, so I don't know. I don't know what the Knicks are planning, but really, do they ever have a plan? So then Garrett Temple goes to Chicago. That's a decent pickup for Chicago. They've been struggling a bit, so hopefully this kind of gives them a boost. Jahlil Okafor, man, it's kind of crazy how things went for Jahlil Okafor. Him and what is it? Oh my God, I forgot the other guy's name, but they were the first and second pick in the draft some years ago, and they didn't even pan out. Like he was for the Sixers, then they traded him. He was in New Orleans, and now he's going to Detroit. I mean, hopefully Jahlil Okafor, you know, gets that fresh start that he needs, and really makes the most of it. Otherwise, he's out of the league. But maybe it's because again his play style is starting to be like those centers that don't shoot well, and it kind of hurts them. I don't know. Hopefully he does well. Then Jerian Grant goes to Houston. Damian Dotson goes to Cleveland. Damian Jones goes to Phoenix. Bembry goes to Toronto, which is not a bad pickup. Mo Harkless goes to Miami. That's a very good pickup. And then Wesley Matthews goes to LA. And I'm sorry, like I'm getting really, really sick and tired of everyone being like, "Oh, that's such a good pickup. Yeah, Wesley Matthews is really good." It's like, really? He wasn't even doing that good in Dallas, dude. He was not. He was not what he needed to be. He would make very bad shot decisions. Like he was also like very suspect on defense. Like everyone's like, "Oh, he's decent on defense." He not really. Not really. And he made really boneheaded mistakes in a lot of closing minutes for Mavs. Um,
Or when he
and then
was with Portland, that was a different
yeah,
story.
well, I mean, yeah, but you also have to understand he also had Damian Lillard and LaMarcus Aldridge también, dude. So I don't know. But the thing is, Wesley Matthews has not been the best shooter. He's actually hasn't done too well this season. Only this past season with Milwaukee, he was okay, but not great. So I don't know. I just think people really put Wesley Matthews in such a weird spot in like high regard, and I'm like, I watched the fucker play. Like he wasn't that impressive. He was okay, but he wasn't that impressive. He was way too inconsistent, and I don't know, Lakers fans. I think you don't really play him that much, which would probably be a good thing. Dwayne Bacon is a decent pickup by Orlando. Bismack Biyombo stays in Charlotte. Yeah, man, Bismack Biyombo was good for a slight bit, and then he just kind of faded out. Kind of sad, really. James Ennis stays in Orlando. Who else? Nicholas Batum goes to the Clippers. That's an interesting pickup. I mean, Nicholas Batum is kind of old, so I don't know what the Clippers were really going for on that one. But I don't know. They kind of they took a pretty decent L in the in this free agency class. Wayne Ellington goes to Detroit. Jared Dudley stays in LA, but I don't know. Jared Dudley's getting way too big of a fucking head for doing hardly anything, but whatever. Um, JJ Barea, like we said, he was signed by the Mavericks, but then let go after the fact. So hope he
So
does well. And I'm
so
certain.
so
Go ahead.
even though it says he's still with them, they signed him, but then to pay him out, but then waived him. But that's still guaranteed money,
Yeah, it's
right?
still guaranteed money. Yeah, that's what's in the contract.
Okay, gotcha.
And then Jeff Teague goes to Boston, which is a decent pickup. Jeff Teague has experience playing with Boston,
Do
so
my eyes deceive me?
what?
Udonis Haslam is still playing?
Yeah, dude, that fucker,
What?
he's just
I
riding.
figured
He's
I
just
figured
riding the
he
goddamn bench, dude. With
I figured he would have retired by now.
yeah, me,
Damn.
yeah, me too. He's just riding the bench and shit. I mean, he's
Well,
probably
hey.
be, it makes me laugh when people are like, "Oh, a mentor role." It's like, look, Udonis was an okay role player in his time, but at this point, you're just taking money from from like the cap space for them to sign somebody else. Get the fuck out, dude. Just
I
for real.
mean, that's at that point, why don't you just become a coach, man?
Yeah, yeah, at this point,
I
yeah.
mean,
You're
I
just
just feel
you're just taking money to sit on a bench. What the fuck you doing?
because he didn't even play at all, did he?
Nah,
During the playoffs.
nah, I don't think he did at all.
I mean, he's a veteran player. He has some skill and knowledge. Why not utilize him? If you're not going to
Well, it's because
utilize
he's
him,
too old at this point.
well, then that's why. I mean, if I was Pat Riley, I'd been like, look, I know we've been through a lot, but you're gonna have to move on here, man. If I was Pat Riley, I'd be like, all right, come on now.
I mean, it is what it is. Then Jeff Green goes to Brooklyn. That's a good pickup. That's actually a very good pickup by
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Dwight Howard, okay, get this shit, dude.
Really? What? Okay, this I really thought he was gonna stay in LA, but
Well, dude,
Philly?
that's what he said. That's what he fucking tweeted. There was this fucking tweet where he was like, I'm glad to be returning back to this team and blah blah blah, like some fucking bullshit. Then out of nowhere, he deletes that tweet. And I think a day later, he ends up fucking signing with the Sixers. So overall, it's just a fucking bad look.
So something happened. I don't know. You know, something happened where he's like, you know what, the hell with this, and left. I don't know, but or my opinion is, I thought it sounds like he was in the mindset. All right, I got my win, I got my title, finally, I got my ring, I'm out of here. That's kind of comes off to me like that a little bit.
Well,
I
nah,
could be
it's
wrong.
just I don't know, maybe the contract they were gonna offer him was a little less than this. I don't know. I really don't know the whole story, but it's pretty suspect that he did that, and it's kind of shitty too.
Well, he will add some depth on the Sixers and maybe be a help a nice rotation for Embiid. I don't know.
Yeah, nice yeah, backup for Embiid. I think
So
that's a good assessment, really. Carmelo
mhm.
Anthony, he signs another deal with Portland. So he's there for 1 year. Who knows if he's gonna maintain? Because I mean, granted, he did a lot better this year. Um, Granted, not it wasn't like super spectacular numbers, but they were better and they were more improved. And Carmelo Anthony seemed to fit pretty well within this team. So good for him for coming to an understanding that he needs to just play within the system. I'm kind of happy for him. And then let's see, Reggie Jackson stays in LA with the Clippers. So, got to keep someone. Reggie Jackson wasn't bad. He could have been a little bit better, but he wasn't bad. Markieff Morris, the twin of Marcus, stays in LA with the Lakers. So both brothers are staying in LA with their respective teams. Hassan Whiteside is going to Sacramento, which I guess, yeah, that's a decent inside post presence. But even then, like he's really for a guy his size, he's really not that good defensively, which is kind of upsetting, because he was projected to be a really good defensive player. Okay, the next Kent Bazemore goes to Golden State. That's a decent pickup. He's an okay shooter. Alex Len to Toronto. Dellavedova stays in Cleveland. Glenn Robinson III goes to Sacramento. Tyler Johnson stays in Brooklyn. Let's see. Thon Maker goes to Cleveland. I remember Mike Rozemba making that video about Thon Maker, and yeah, that did not fucking pan out at all. Let's see. Harry Giles is a pretty good piece. Way to go, Portland, for picking him up. Let's see. Yeah, Evan Turner. Yeah, there's still some other pieces here that I'm seeing that haven't really done anything yet, surprisingly.
yeah, it's a long list.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we'll find out later what's going on with them. Because I know like Dallas signed Courtney Lee, but then they let him go again. So I don't know. It's a weird situation all around.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Oh, and that's
vets out
weird because
there.
maybe some of this is old because I see Brad Wanamaker and he's with the Warriors right now. So I don't know. Maybe this is a little bit of an older list. I mean, but you get it. At least we know the big main names that have been picked up in free agency. It's all been crazy with this whole thing with the pandemic and just in general. who the fuck knows, man? It's just gonna be a very interesting year all around.
Yes, it will. And hopefully, you know, this everything will return to some sort of normal, and we can get back to enjoying, actually going out and watching and enjoying sports in person. So we'll see. Have you
I hear the
heard?
Dallas Stars are trying to let people back in now. So I
Mm,
don't know. I don't know how long that's gonna last before you get sick people again.
I don't know, man. But if they said anything, what the NBA is going to do, are they going to
The
start allowing
NBA,
people, or are they going to do it like the same format like they did
they're
in the
gonna
bubble?
do, yeah, they're gonna do like nobody playing. No, sorry, nobody in the stands, just them playing until I guess things die down. And if this vaccine does anything, we'll see.
Mm, okay.
But the
Are they
thing
going to
is,
be playing in their respective stadiums?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I really don't. I really hope they don't put up those stupid screens like they did in the bubble because one, there wouldn't be enough room. Just, dude, just keep at this point, just keep it empty like you did with the MLB. We all are gonna get to watch it on TV anyway, so
Hmm.
there's no reason for you to put those screens where people have to pay extra to to make it look like they're actually sitting there. What?
Well, dude,
Like
it's
it's like
anything to make money at this point, dude.
I know, but it's
You
stupid.
got to
You
make
know,
extra
you're
revenue
already
somehow.
airing it on TV.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just to make it's now you're getting ridiculous where you're trying to pay a premium to do this. Like, no, man, it's like I'd rather go in person. That's just no. It's like this is just watching it right here in my living room. It's just as it's always been good. So
Yeah,
anyway,
but yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming year, man. It's interesting. It came by really quick. It just felt like yesterday since the finals ended, and now we're back. And kind of you have to kind of question: is this too quick of a turnaround, or I don't know.
well, I
I
mean,
think personally, it kind of is because you have people that are rushing to get back from injury, and I think that's kind of partially what happened with Klay Thompson. I think he was rushing to get back in shape real quickly, and then fucking went too hard and fucked him
yeah,
up. I don't know. I don't know the specifics, so I'm not gonna claim that's the reason. That's just
right.
an
Well, I
assumption,
mean,
I think that's kind of the assumption. Like they're coming back way too quickly. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong and everything just goes according to, according to plan.
well, we'll see. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. When you rush, when you rush things, that's when you make mistakes, especially when it comes to, training your body to become stronger and healthier. You rush a certain thing, you don't do it right, and you rush, you're gonna hurt yourself. So
Hmm.
that's definitely a factor. But I think part of me feels like I think the NBA was wanting to stay as close to when they would usually start as possible. So I guess that's why I would have figured until a virus, I mean, a vaccine was like completely cleared and made sure it worked, to wait until that happened to start it. But they don't want to push it back too late because then it throws everything off. You know,
I don't know, man. Maybe you just, again, I think you could have just shortened the season.
I agreed. I figured if they had shortened it like they did in the lockout, went from 82 to like 62, I figured that would have been just. I think that would have been more or less perfect for this situation. You're just cutting 20 games from the schedule. I think that would have helped big time. But they want to fit all 82 games regardless. Why? Simple. Money,
Yeah,
ratings.
it's all
They
running in the ratings.
they don't want to lose a penny of revenue. So
They kind of already did when they had to compete with viewership time for the NFL and other freaking sports. So I don't know. That's a conversation we've already discussed on this podcast a few times before. But yeah, I just think overall it's going to be a very unique and interesting season. As far as my dark horse teams, I already have the freaking like at least in the East, I already have Miami Heat again. I don't foresee them going back to repeat, but again, we can't really count out things that are made by Pat Riley. So I don't know. I think the the Heat are going to be a decent team again, at least as far as who's making the playoffs. Mm, At least now in the East has gotten stronger. So you're going to have Atlanta, you're going to have Washington, and you're possibly even going to have the uh, the Orlando Magic and possibly even the Charlotte Hornets fighting for spots now. It's a more competitive East than it has been, which is kind of nice. And then the West, yeah, it's just a bloodbath in general. As far as in the West, you mean you have the Denver Nuggets. Right now, the Mavericks, hopefully they provide like they play up to their potential, and then the rookies play really well. Um, what is his name? Tyler Terry, I think. No, Tyrell Terry. He's doing okay, but he leaves a lot to be desired. But again, maybe he's just a project, work in progress. But overall, I mean, the addition of Josh Richardson and all that. You see, those were other players like Josh Richardson, and Seth Curry. That trade was pretty ridiculous, man. I mean, it it sucks that we lost Seth Curry. It really does. But Josh Richardson is not a bad shooter himself, and we actually get again more defense. That's the thing. The Mavericks just need a better defensive minded team. And having Luca and KP once he's healthy is already going to be a good enough team. I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a decent shooter still. Like I said, Josh Richardson is no slouch on shooting either. Jalen Brunson's pretty good. I mean, you have solid pieces all around. So I think this is really going to be a good, decent Mavericks squad this year. So they're another dark horse. Um, yeah, overall, it's going to be an exciting season. I really can't wait because it starts tomorrow. So hopefully y'all go in and watch all that tomorrow. That's going to be amazing. I really cannot wait to watch my team play. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, yeah, just so you all know, I mean, we were there for the final game that was played in person. Was it March 11th, I think?
March
W-
14th, I
March
think.
March 14th, we got to see the Mavs play against the Nuggets. And that was the first time I got to see Luca play in person. So that was amazing. And to see to see him on TV, I know we've always watched him on TV, but even then it's been to see watch a regular season with all new pieces. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be something to watch. What time do they play tomorrow? Do you know?
I can't remember, but here's the thing. Like, there's already a lot of people considering Luca possibly taking the next step and even winning MVP next year. Do you think that's going to happen?
It's a possibility. The one thing I would hope Luca will try to improve on, he's what, almost, he's barely 20, right? He, when things, don't go his way, and it happens, for him to remain calm, not throw a fit, and just, you know, keep a level head, because I saw when I saw him play, I was like, man, he's young, so he gets frustrated. So I hope that he learns how to keep calm, keep maintain his composure as he plays, even when things don't go his way, and just focus on what's ahead of him. I think he can. I think he can. So I mean, it's there. I'm just not sure yet. Trying to see what competition he has to go up against for that title, like as far as regular season goes. But I think he has a good chance of being a contender for MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he has the tools. It's just at the end of the day, it has to be really upon him and also how many games this team wins. If he at least gets third seed in the West and like puts up really good stats, then yeah, there's no doubt he has a legitimate case. But again, you still have Giannis, you still have LeBron, you still have James Harden. Those are the seeming more likely suspects. I mean, if KD ends up playing like he used to, maybe he gets also in the mix of things. So yeah, he has a bit of competition, and it just depends on how he plays at the end of the day. I'm
Mm.
really hoping that this Mavericks team really improves defensively and gets more wins on the scoreboard. You know what I mean? But I'm excited. There's gonna be a lot of crazy storylines, a lot of movements along the league, and probably we're not even done yet because I mean this we're still trying to figure out James Harden's situation. There's a lot of rumors that he might be either going to the Sixers or to the Heat. Brooklyn was on his radar at one point, but I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on that because they would have to give a good amount, possibly even Kyrie to get him. And you kind of want to do that. That's kind of unfair to Kyrie. But
I could possibly see the Sixers. That would probably maybe
yeah, and they
a
would
good
get,
option.
yeah, and the Rockets would get, like, I don't know, Ben Simmons or, I mean, that's really the best you can get for James Harden. I know Ben Simmons doesn't shoot as well as Harden, but he's still a lot of people discredit Ben Simmons' style of play. Like he still puts up really good numbers when he sets his mind to it. He's a great passer, it's very good build where he could guard multiple positions. Overall, Ben Simmons is a good piece, and that is a piece you should trade if you're the Sixers to get James Harden. I know Daryl Morey wants to continue having the Simmons and Embiid duo, but at this point, who knows if that's going to work out in the end? Because there still seems to be issues with it. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe that trade takes place before the trade deadline. Maybe it happens sooner. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it works out. It's just I've noticed with Embiid, he seems to have a bit of an attitude problem when things don't go his way. It's like he gets really frustrated and he shows it. So I would hope that, you know,
He's a very passionate player. I mean, and the thing is, like, Embiid is a decent shooter. But he's not like above league average when it comes to shooting from three. I mean, for a big guy, he still has a lot to work on in that regard. But the thing is, he shouldn't be the one having to take those shots all the time. That's why it helps to have a guard that shoots well, or like at least a
and
couple of other
and
players that shoot well.
and Harden would be a great option if that were to unfold that way.
Yeah, and I
But
think that puts him as a contender at that point. Yeah, I think that ends up being a decent contender.
yeah, but I mean, Philly did pick up some good pieces, so hopefully those guys step it up to where they can fit around Simmons and Embiid. So we'll see what happens. But it's disappointing that Harden's not happy in Houston anymore. And if he does leave, it's gonna be very interesting where he decides to go and who's willing to pay him. Is he? I mean, isn't Harden under contract or is he free agent?
No, he's under contract still. That's why it's a trade.
Okay, so
If
then we'll have to find we'll have to see which team would be willing to buy his contract then.
we get to trade him, or like what they're willing to trade to get him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see what happens starting tomorrow. Do you know who else is playing tomorrow? I haven't looked at the schedule yet. Like you said, Mavs are playing, and then you know how many more teams? Because Christmas is going to be exciting. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of games on Christmas, so that's going to be. I'm sure you and I will be sitting together and checking out the games. Man, it'll be a basketball esque Christmas, if you will.
Yeah. So let me just double check to see what games are on tomorrow.
Yeah.
So let's see. NBA schedule. Schedule. Okay. Yeah, I will not do that noise again. That was weird. It's kind of late, guys. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
So
Ooh.
it's showing that Tuesday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. It's going to be the Golden State Warriors versus the Brooklyn Nets. That is going to be baller. Um,
Clippers
wow,
and
I said
Lakers.
that
Okay.
really white. Okay, so
Don't worry about it, man.
that was really baller.
Really baller. You
Baller,
gotta like we'll do it
baller,
like Cali style, man. You know, white boy Cali. That was really baller.
baller. Yeah, yeah, never again. And then the Clippers versus the Lakers, and it's going to be different this year. I don't think. I mean, we'll see, but I think the Clippers are going to struggle this year, really, to at least
Yeah.
get back to where they need to be. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I can't really count out Kawhi Leonard. It's just Paul George has to maintain. I mean, he's going to be a decent seasonal player, but it's just when it comes to the playoffs, that's when he's been starting to struggle.
Well,
So I don't know.
I hope he can change that, man. I mean,
Yeah. So at least like tomorrow it's going to be Clippers versus Lakers and Warriors versus Nets. So that's going to be pretty
all
exciting.
right, it's only
And then
two
as far
games,
as the
right?
December the 23rd. We got Milwaukee versus Boston. That's a good matchup. Um,
Dang, that's a lot
let's
of games
see.
for.
Dallas versus Phoenix. Yeah, that's the first team, and that's going to be an
Ooh,
interesting. It's going to be
okay.
an interesting game because you're going to see Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker in action against Luca and the squad. I'm really excited. I cannot wait for this to all start. But yeah, that's at least all I had when it came to NBA talk. So now I kind of want to just look at the conference standings for the NFL since we're getting really close to the end of the season and it's yeah, it's things are really taking shape now. So this is the NFC and it looks like the Green Bay Packers are in first place. The New Orleans Saints are in second place. Seattle Seahawks are in third place. Washington football team
Well, Washington,
currently.
I can't. At the beginning of the season, if you had said, and Skip Bayless brings us up, if you would have said that Washington would be at the top of the NFC East, you'd have been, now you're out of your mind. I mean, look at this. It's like they may have got off to a rough start, but they were able to turn it around mid-season, and they are in the running to take the NFC East title. So it's a shocker, but at the same time, to see that the coaching staff and the players were able to turn it around in midseason, that says a lot, man. That's, if you start off bad but turn it around to where you put yourself in a better position, that, yeah, I give my respect. That's how you should be able to solve the problems you got and make it work.
Yeah,
So
maybe shedding the racism really helped them improve.
I guess
I
maybe.
mean, let's be honest. I mean, look at them. They're doing better than they did when they had that moniker on them. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is I don't know, an allusion to what we as a society need to do. Just shut off the racism. We'll be better. Maybe this is just a sign. I
Maybe.
know that was a bit too deep for this kind of shit, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a
No, that's
funny
cool.
comparison. Um, the next is the Los Angeles
LA,
Rams and the
good.
Tampa Bay
Yeah.
Buccaneers are both in that same position. So I don't
Not
know.
bad for, I mean, it's not bad for Brady, being on another team, and, he had his struggles, but hey, they're doing pretty good, you know.
Yeah, let's
The
see.
Cardinals aren't doing too bad. I mean, figured I wish they would be doing better, but not in a bad spot considering. And then Chicago sits at 500. It really is. I mean, the way that I think the experiment has failed in Chicago. To be honest with you, Trubisky, he showed some good stuff, but it's just I just don't think he has that element of taking a team, you know, beyond. So,
I think this might be a better outlook on how to see
yeah,
this. So if the playoffs started today, the ones that have clinched spots would be the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers on the AFC, the
yeah,
Packers, the Saints,
bro.
and the Seahawks on
Dude, look at
the
the Bills,
NFC.
man. Damn. I'm really happy to see the Buffalo Bills doing so well after so long. They haven't been this good since the 90s, bro. So this is nice to see. And then Steelers, I mean, I don't like the Steelers, but it's been a while, so kudos to Mike Tomlin for having a nice solid season, man.
Yeah. So then, yeah, as far as in the hunt, because there's a few playoff spots
Yeah,
available.
yeah,
So
look at that. Don't count the Titans out, man. They're not doing bad. And look at the Browns, bro. The
yeah,
Browns,
dude, the
bro.
Browns of all fucking
Bravo.
teams, man.
Bravo. After so fucking long, Cleveland has finally got a good football team. And, a lot of people were trying to write off Baker Mayfield, but I just feel like he needed some time and to get the pieces around him. And look at them. They're gelling. The
Yeah, a
chemistry
lot of
seems to
people
be
are still
working.
saying it's not because of Mayfield, but it's like I don't know, dude. We
It's not,
we
I mean,
you yeah.
it's not
Uh,
solely him. Okay, it's not solely him for sure. I'm not gonna say, oh, it's all him. No, but he is definitely improved to where he's making it work with his team. I'm not gonna give him all the credit. A lot of players and even the coaches on that team deserve credit too. But look at how far they've come ever since he was drafted. It's working. So give him credit. And then the Colts, yeah, nice to see the Colts turning it around. So
You
I'm
know,
happy
and
with that.
what's crazy, it's also a fucking testament to the Browns because of the fact that they lost Odell Beckham Jr. like to injury.
Well,
I
yeah,
thought as soon as that happened, I thought they would get worse. But no, they fucking maintained, and
no, that's
this is
good.
a
I mean,
good sign.
they really, I don't really think they needed Odell, to get it done. Because look, they've shown that they don't really need him. It's just he is. I feel not no disrespect to him. I just think that he's just an extra, to kind of scare other teams. But when he's healthy and he's on the field, yeah, he tear it up. But they don't really need him at this moment in time because they're doing well without him. I don't want to sound messed up, but
Well, no,
they're
but
showing
what
it.
I'm saying is like imagine how much better they could have been this year if you had Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, for sure.
Like, holy crap, the fact that they're doing this well without him says volumes. So I'm really happy for this Browns team. And again, the and then yeah, let's continue because I have something that's been really fucking bothering me.
Hey, Sandy will be happy. The Dolphins aren't doing too bad either.
Yeah, they had a new quarterback, and as far as like player like teams on the bubble of possibly being eliminated,
Yeah,
so
the Ravens.
yeah, we still have the Ravens, which is kind of surprising to me that the Ravens are struggling this badly. The Raiders also, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I guess Gruden didn't have it like we thought he did because he's struggling to get him even into the playoffs now. And then on the bubble, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Cowboys. See, and this is the shit that pisses me off about the NFC East. It pisses me off so fucking much about the conferences, I mean the divisions like this, because say the Washington sorry, I almost said the Wizards, the Washington football team freaking just lost the game and the Cowboys win a game. Now the Cowboys are in the fucking playoffs. That's fucking ridiculous, dude. And then also teams that are better than the Cowboys right now, like the Vikings and the Bears, are struggling to even get a damn spot in the playoffs. You know what I mean? This is the fucking nonsense I don't like.
About divisions.
Yeah, because I mean, if at this point, none of these other, actually, shit, even at this point, none of these other teams that are in the bubble would matter because you'd be taking the fucking Buccaneers and the Cardinals. You wouldn't be taking all these other fucking teams. But see, and that's the shit that pisses me off about divisions, man, because look at that. The
Well,
Washington football team, I mean, they're better, but goddamn, like they're still pretty bad compared to these other teams like the Rams, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals. I don't know.
and then let's see who got eliminated. Oh man, look at that poor Jet Jam. Man. Rest in peace, Jets and Jaguars, man. They just could not.
Yeah, and then the
Jackson.
Bengals. I think the Bengals had promise when what was his name? Joe Burrow, I think was his name that they drafted that won the NC, I mean, sorry, the football championship in college. He was doing really well, but then he got injured. So I don't know. Maybe hopefully he comes back healthy. Then the
Uh,
Panthers, yeah, the Panthers just weren't good this year. Falcons, they've really dropped off. The Texans, I mean, it's like the Texans always look like they're going to be good, and then they just fucking suck. The Chargers have not been good. The
and
49ers
then
really
the
dropped
Cowboys
off.
won. The Cowboys won, so they knocked them out. I mean, they played a lot better yesterday than they have in a while. So it was nice to see that. And I didn't know Zeke was hurt. So Pollard, I was really nice to see Pollard tore it up uh when
Yeah, I was actually glad they played a decent game this time around. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
but the San Francisco, the turnovers hurt them big time. But at least to see how they were able to reinstitute the running game and the defense did improve a bit. So it's like, bro, we need to see more of that. But that's what happened. But it sucks when you have a lot of your starters hurt, especially in the D line, and then so it's still got a lot of humps, a lot of hurdles to overcome since the season. It'll just if they win next week. then they still have a chance to be in the playoffs. But it all depends on whether or not Washington is able to beat Carolina.
Yeah.
If they beat Carolina, then Washington wins the title. But if they don't, then the Cowboys can still have a chance. Anyway,
Which
um,
I don't know. As much as I love my Cowboys, I think it's such bullshit about these divisions, man.
well,
Just get rid of divisions
and
because it doesn't
okay,
help anybody.
okay. Well, now that you say that, would you want to get rid of divisions in every sport?
I mean,
Because I mean, you got divisions in the NBA,
well, but the
in the
thing is with the
conferences, and
in
in
the
the
NBA, I think it's a little bit different because the divisions don't affect this all that much, whereas the NFL, it is more set. Like it almost feels like you have to have a team from each division represented. Like that's just the shitty ordeal about divisions in the NFL. The NFL, I mean the NBA, it's not as packed tight in the divisions. It's more the conferences where it gets tricky.
yeah, I can see that. I mean, if they were to not treat the division so heavily to determine whether you get to the playoffs, but and treating it more like how you do in the NBA, where it's all about the conference, you know, because was it it's 8-8 in the NBA. I forget what it is in the NFL because it's 32 teams in the NFL compared to 30 in the NBA. So is it 6-6? I can't remember the playoff the playoff mode for the NFL.
Yeah, it's six, yeah, six players. I mean, six teams on each side. Yeah.
Okay, 6 teams on each side. Um, I'm not sure. That's a good question to ask about that, but I guess every sport league, they have the right to structure their playoff system. So you know, but it is what it is.
And
Look
then
at this. Oh, go ahead.
the New England Patriots are out for like the first time in 11 years.
Yeah, that was like wow. You don't have Brady anymore, but I'm sure Belichick is, you know, not happy about how things transpire. I'm sure he's still pissed at John Kraft because how because you remember how there was that whole thing that they were saying that Brady was, falling out of favors with Belichick, or they it's like their friendship was strained. It's like I don't think that's the case. It just maybe it was, but see, Belichick wanted to build after Brady left because he knows Brady wasn't getting any younger. That's why he was really upset at Kraft when he traded Garoppolo. He wanted to have Garoppolo because he wanted him to be the next quarterback because he's good. After Brady left or retired, but John Kraft was like, "No,
I mean,
we're keeping."
He doesn't seem to be doing too well in San Francisco, though. I mean, he did okay last year, but I mean,
Well,
I say
isn't
okay,
he?
and he got into the Super Bowl, but he hasn't been playing that well this year.
Didn't he get hurt? Because I saw
Yeah,
somewhere.
well, I mean, but he also didn't start off the season all that well either, so that was just another thing.
Well, I'm just saying well, it is what it is.
And then the Eagles replaced Carson Wentz, so yikes, that sucks for him. Well, I mean, because he just
Ooh.
wasn't playing well, and then Jalen Hurts stepped in, and I mean, I don't know. I just think in general the Eagles are not making the playoffs. Like the Eagles and the Giants are pretty much gone at this point. Like after like they lose, then yeah.
Well, yeah. After this next week, yeah, we'll see. It'll wrap up a lot of teams, and we'll see where we stand. If Dallas is able to win next week, I don't know who they're playing. I haven't checked,
Let's see.
but
I think I have it on here. They're playing the. Let's see. Never
no, they
mind. That
played
was
the
their.
40. Yeah, they played the 49ers yesterday. Go and click on them and tell. We'll see what it says. It should tell you next week, or maybe not there.
Yeah, maybe that one doesn't really help me. But overall, yeah. So those are the standings and the playoff spots if it started today. But yeah, when all is said and done,
I like this picture. I really do. For the teams you have right now, it's very interesting. It really does spice it up.
Yeah, I really think the Chiefs are still favored, in my opinion. I think they're still going to be the heavy favorites to win this. The dark horse team is the Bills. Because I mean, even though they have a high seed, I mean, I don't think people are expecting them to win, but I think they have a legitimate chance. Um, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the Browns are the dark horse team and they just might fuck around and win a Super Bowl.
Well, that would be a sight to behold. I would really like to see
You
that.
imagine, dude, we're all sitting there and we just see the Cleveland Browns are the Super Bowl champions. And it's like, God
They're
damn,
finally bringing.
they really
If
did fuck around and win a Super Bowl.
if I mean, if that happened, people would lose their shit. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if one of the announcers did say that. But I mean, to bring a Super Bowl title to Cleveland for the first time would be wonderful. I shouldn't say first time because they do have two other titles, but that was pre Super Bowl era. But I mean,
Yeah.
those should still count because they're championship titles.
Yeah. As far as the NFL, I don't know how that shit works. I'll be quite honest. I don't know how any of that shit works.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
the
because the
Super
end,
Bowl system was considered different when it was installed. It was when it was conceived, because the old system, I guess, the system was different then. So I guess that's why under
because
the
they were
Super
two
Bowl
different
era it doesn't count.
leagues. Yeah, because they were two different leagues, like the NBA. But the thing
Oh
is,
yeah, the
like,
AFL, yeah.
but I
Sorry,
mean, they still consider
there's still titles.
a lot of NBA's titles before the Larry O'Brien. But see, that's different. The NBA Finals in general has always been a thing. Just because the merger happened does not mean that the NBA still wasn't a thing. The ABA and the NBA were still like, I mean, the NBA was still the NBA. So obviously, whatever championships occurred there still occurred there.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they should. I mean,
the
it's
only
like
championships that don't count now is any championships that a team won while they were in the ABA. So
because
I
that
don't
was a completely different league. Yeah,
know. And yeah, it just got disbanded when it merged with the NBA. But the NFL is a little fucking different because it became a whole different league. You know what I mean? Like the NFL and AFL were like two separate leagues, but then I think that became the full on NFL once they merged. You know what I mean? So that's why maybe a lot of people don't count the previous championships before that in that regard because it wasn't the Super Bowl era. Like
yeah.
that became the true tradition after that. So I don't know. Maybe you
But
do, maybe you don't.
well, I mean, I feel
But you
still
see
you
what I
should.
mean? It is a little more convoluted than
Yeah,
what the NBA's deal is.
I guess it's just still you shouldn't like disregard those wins.
Yeah, I mean,
those finals.
I don't think they're disregarding it per se, but you know what I mean.
But I guess to say if the Browns were to win, it would be the first title under the Super Bowl era,
Hmm.
or Super Bowl system for them to win. So that would be a sight to behold. But I guess because was it next week is the last week of the regular season, so this will definitely tell us where the playoff picture is after next week, and then we'll go from there. And I'm sure we'll have our finalized playoff picture. And even then, it's going to be a very interesting one because to see some teams that have done horribly come up, this is going to be nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty dang excited. But yeah, in the future, guys, just as I stated earlier, please look at my YouTube channel. Please look on Spotify and any other like services that you listen to podcasts to, because that's going to be really fun to kind of grow the channel a bit. Because I mean, I pretty much download my audio to Anchor, which then transfers that to Spotify and the like of all those. And maybe if this takes off, maybe it'll help me like maintain some sponsorships and shit. That would be nice. I mean, I've never really gotten onto Patreon. I don't know how that works, but again, I have a feeling you'd have to be a pretty decent name in order to get that kind of shit going. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm really excited for what's coming up this season. And I just want to thank you all for watching if you have been watching. So, suscríbete a mi canal y hasta la próxima, mi gente. Adiós, 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 adiós.
Adiós.
Bye. Cool. Oh shit, I thought I stopped.